Jan-Michael Vincent was a charming and talented actor. He could be anyone, whether it was a hitman, a disturbed teen, a jungle man with a talent for track and field, or a helicopter pilot. Keep watching to learn about the 8 films we will forever remember Jan-Michael Vincent for. The Mechanic. 1972's The Mechanic was based on a story by Louis John Carlino. The name came from a popular euphemism for hitmen. He said he came up with the idea while researching the script for 1968's The Brotherhood. He calls it a statement on violence in society and those who receive the license to kill. It follows Charles Bronson as assassin Arthur Bishop and Jan-Michael as his apprentice, Steve McKenna. The pair became a dynamic on-screen duo whose clashing personas complemented each other perfectly. It's often considered one of Jan-Michael's best performances. Arthur and Steve were meant to be gay in the original script, but producers wouldn't accept it until the homosexuality was removed from the script. Lewis called this, quote, one of the great disappointments of his life. He also wanted to include commentary on human relationships and sexual manipulation between 2 hired killers in the script. Filming began on December 6, 1971. Cliff Robertson and Jeff Bridges were the first choice to play the central duo. Charles's casting was announced in November, and Jan-Michael was officially hired in early December. The movie has a memorable opening featuring no dialogue for the first 16 minutes as Arthur closes in on his target. It also has a memorable motorcycle stunt where a motorcycle rider goes over a 200-foot cliff. The scene required specially modified Husqvarna bikes that could go nearly 110 miles per hour. Most scenes were filmed in LA or Italy, and all the martial arts scenes were done in one day at the dojo of martial arts master Takayuki Kubota. You can also see him in the film. The Mechanic earned $7.3 million at the box office. It received mixed reviews on release from critics. Buster and Billie. The 1975 film Buster and Billie is a tragedy loosely based on events in writer Ron Turbeville's hometown of Florence, South Carolina in 1948. Jan-Michael played Buster, a high school student who the girls love. He falls for the awkward Billie. She gets assaulted and murdered, sending him into a vigilante-style rage against his fellow students. Most of the filming took place in rural towns in Georgia like Metter and Register. The townsfolk didn't know about the subject matter and were just excited to have a movie filmed in their little town. Bruce Boxleitner lost the role of Buster to Jan-Michael. He reportedly turned down 3 other films that may have paid more because he was so captivated by the strong story and characters in it. Buster and Billie was controversial because it not only explored subjects like assault, but it was one of the first mainstream films to have full frontal male nudity. Jan-Michael felt the scene was in good taste. Audiences were divided, either finding it refreshingly honest or excessively violent. Critics were divided too. They couldn't agree on whether they enjoyed the storyline and were particularly divided about the ending. Tribes. The 1970s TV movie Tribes is also known as The Soldier Who Declared Peace. Jan-Michael plays a hippie in the army who won't obey his drill instructor, played by Darren McGavin. It was broadcast as an ABC Movie of the Week. The ratings were high when it first aired on November 10, 1970. That was also, fittingly, the 195th birthday of the Marine Corps. Tribes won a Primetime Emmy for sound editing, film sound mixing, and original teleplay. It was also nominated for directorial achievement and ranked the 8th best boot camp movie by Screen Junkies. Jan-Michael also gained critical praise for his performance. Big Wednesday. 1978's Big Wednesday is a coming-of-age sports drama directed by John Milius in honor of his experiences on the beach in Malibu. It was also based on the 1974 short story No Pants Mance that journalist Danny Aberg wrote. The film follows surfers as they deal with growing up and following their passion against the backdrop of the Vietnam War. The script took a year for the 2 men to write. They wanted it to be as authentic as possible to the experience of a real surfer. It was so personal to John, he almost wanted to play the lead, but decided it was, quote, too big for me to do. The surfing scenes were filmed in Pupukea, Hawaii. They also filmed in El Paso, Santa Barbara, Surfrider Beach in Malibu, Ventura, California, and La Libertad, El Salvador. An executive said the crew was always, quote, waiting for the big wave wherever they went and always went over budget. They even invented the Bear surfboard brand for the film. Big Wednesday was released May 26, 1978, and it appeared in film festivals like the Davao City Film Festival in the Philippines and the Turin Film Festival in Italy. It was a box office flop and quickly pulled from theaters after earning only $4.6 million. The World's Greatest Athlete. 1973's The World's Greatest Athlete follows two coaches, played by John Amos and Tim Conway. They discover Jan-Michael, who plays Nanu, a gifted athlete who's been living in the jungle. They bring him back to be a track and field star who will be the first to win every event at the NCAA Track and Field Championship. Jan-Michael's fit, clean look made him the perfect fit. He did his own swimming, but had stuntmen for the rest. He portrayed the character's lovable innocence perfectly. It made him a mainstream star when he was only 27. The film was released under the Disney name on February 1, 1973. It had a disappointing opening week, but became one of the most popular releases of 1973, earning $22 million at the box office and $10 million in North American theater rentals alone. Hooper. 1978's Hooper was an action comedy that also served as a tribute to stuntmen and stuntwomen across the industry. It's primarily meant to honor one, Jock Mahoney. Its original title was The Stuntman. That led to an arbitration suit in 1976 when director Richard Rush said it was too similar to his planned 1980 film The Stuntman. Work on the movie began again in 1977 with the new title The Hollywood Stuntman. Richard filed another suit in 1978, and they had to change the title again to Hooper. It was one of the top 10 films of 1978 in terms of box office. It was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Sound. That wasn't enough to make it as popular as the film Burt Reynolds almost left it for, Smokey and the Bandit, which was only behind Star Wars at the box office. Hooper was notable for being one of the first films to have a blooper reel in its credits. It featured outtakes and stunts. That technique would later be used in everything from Smokey and the Bandit 2 to Toy Story 2. One of the stuntmen in the film, A.J. Bakunis, also set a record for the highest jump without a parachute at 232 feet. Danger Island. Danger Island was a new type of project for Jan-Michael, a live-action serial broadcast from 1986 to 89. It was included in the Banana Splits Adventure Hour as a way to cut down production costs from that mostly animated show. Jan-Michael Vincent played Lincoln Link Simmons. Airwolf. Airwolf was one of Jan-Michael's most successful forays into television. He played Stringfellow Hawk in this popular show from 1984 to 87. He got to combine two of his passions. He was a certified helicopter pilot and got to perform many of his own stunts. A film later came out as a re-edited version of the show's pilot. It also included a few popular action scenes from the first season. Jan-Michael was at the peak of his career at the time. He reportedly made $200,000 per episode, and he was a favorite among the show's cult following. It remains the role he's best remembered for. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite Jan-Michael Vincent role? Let us know in the comments section below.